I recently spent a year travelling around Australia and living in my Toyota Hiace van. I'm currently working full-time out bush with my partner and dog to save money. Today I've made a part 2 to my property series of places I'm considering buying around Australia after spending time there in the van. I've made sure to include some requested locations this time, such as Tasmania and Queensland, and I've kept the budget under $500k. First up today, we've got the Daintree region in far north Queensland. Beautiful tropical landscape up here. You can't swim at the beach, but I love the climate and the vegetation around here. Surprisingly, the land is quite affordable. However, I'm under no illusions that the climate out here is quite challenging. Frequent floods, landslides, and you're relying on a barge to get in. However, there's amazing ice cream, swimming spot. Travelling west across the country now to Dongra in the mid-west coast region of Western Australia. So this is about 3.5 hours north of Perth, and it's a great little medium-sized coastal town. I really enjoyed it here. It's got a stunning main street with lots of old fig trees, a really nice cafe by the beach, and land was fairly affordable. Still pretty expensive, don't get me wrong, because you have to build. However, for what you get, I think it's quite well priced. Alright, next up, staying in WA, you might be able to guess from the beautiful watercolour, is the Esperance region. So this is in the far, far south of Western Australia. It's about a 10-hour drive from Perth. In town, it's still quite expensive. However, if you look at the surrounding regions, there are some more affordable places. Bremer Bay is beautiful, similar water and beaches to Esperance. And then if you go inland, like many places, of course, it's cheaper still. I had a look at some off-market properties too. This website's quite good. It can show places that don't appear on realestate.com. This is actually just outside of Esperance, and I thought that was fairly affordable because you get a house too. I'm not just looking at land. All right, number 4, we're going across to Tasmania. I've travelled right around Tassie, and my favourite spot, especially if I'm looking to live, would be the east coast, around Bicheno and the whole of the sort of north-east coast region. Great beaches, some really cool little towns, and you're not too far from Hobart. However, if you go further north, it does get more affordable. Of course, Bennelong Bay, pretty expensive. That's a big tourist area. But as I go further north here, I know that's more isolated. That's a pretty nice house for a good price, I thought. Although I haven't actually been to that area. So if someone has, let me know what it's like. All right, now to my favourite area in Australia, the NT. I spoke about this in the other video, but this area, not a lot of people know of, and it's only 8 kilometres from Darwin. It's called Waygate Beach. So you get a ferry there from the Darwin CBD. It's only about 15 minutes, and it's very affordable. It gives you that sort of region rural lifestyle, but only a 15-minute commute to the CBD. NT has a great lifestyle. I love it. Now to the far west region of Victoria, so around Portland. Some great surf spots around here, well-resourced town, and reasonably affordable. However, this is just land, and I would probably prefer a bit more bush on the block if I was looking. However, certainly worth checking out a bit more around this area. What's something I can do for you, darling? Thanks for watching. Stay tuned to see my life out in a remote region of Australia and to see where I end up buying. See ya.